Greetings. Okay, this is going to be part two of things I'd like to see. So right now in the current campaign map, the Britannias and the Sturgians, man, they always get wrecked. They always get wrecked. Usually by the time mid game rolls around, um, the Britannias only got one or two bases left. And so what I've realized is a secondary effect is that you lose all your troops even if you take a place. Let's say Britannia takes, they typically take, what is it? Um, it's over here, Esperta. They usually take Esperta, and they usually take one down here too. They usually take these castles and sometimes Leggett. But the problem that you run into is that they're not faction soldiers. So if you're kind of doing the faction theme and you're trying to get your archer heroes and stuff, because you lose your bases, even though you take other bases, you lose your lot of your accessibility to your troops. And one of the things that I'd like to see as an option in the menu, because I know there's a mod that I've been using that lets you when you take over a castle, it changes the culture out or the race out, so you maintain the Britannian influence. So if you take the Sturgeon base, well, or the Sturgeon farm, well, the Sturgeons aren't there no more. It's now the Britannians, and so you get it's kind of more of a historical context too, because as nations take over nations, a lot of times those original inhabitants, they cease to exist. They get bred out or whatever. So I think that's a better to have that in an option. You can go either or, and there's already a mod on there, so it's not like you have to invent the wheel. You just buy the mod creator, a Starbucks gift card or something, and tell them, hey man, we're we're using your shit. But yeah, that's one of the issues that I'm running into, and I would think that would help a little bit. It'd be kind of an easy solution to the power creep of the other factions. Is if you just have it to where there's an option in there to where it changes out the race or the faction. I don't know what we're gonna call it. The with the conquering faction, and so it switches it out. And right now, I think the reason why that mod is broke is because in 5.10, they've done a bunch of castle updates, or castle, so they'd have to go back and maybe do a little bit of changing. But that could just be a toggleable option in the options. That'd be great. So the other thing that kind of ties into that a little bit too is the factions. I've been using this mod where it allows you to join as a soldier, and that mod, what I've realized after that, it's great too, because you get to get pulled into all these battles, and as you get better, they equip you with different uniforms and different weapon loadouts, and you get to play as all these different loadouts and weapons. So you get to learn how those units work that are in your faction, and then you get to do the hero class, then you get to do the noble class, and then you get to do the different roles like the bodyguard, and then you get to lead squads. And it's a great way, because right now when you join, you're a vassal or you're a mercenary. Those are like mid tier and top tier examples of faction gameplay. And if they added in that where you just get to be a soldier, that could be your low tier. And what also is it enables you to join the looter factions, also kind of as a backdoor. It really adds the looter factions to where if you get picked up by a roaming band of looters, you can be like, hey man, I need a job, and they'll give you a job, and you'll earn your roguery, and you can end up taking over that band of looters, and that one little aspect of that gameplay, that one mod is like it can end up being 25 or 30% of your gameplay just by adding those two feature sets, because it opens up. And it'd be great if as a bandit you could have it to where, and this leads into my second kind of aspect of this part of this wish list, is if you, as a bandit, you could establish hideouts. You could have a hideout. So instead of getting a castle or a keep or a village as a bandit lord, you get a hideout, right? And you can upgrade your hideout, and you can do all the stuff that you do in a keep or a castle, but it's called a highlight. And the third thing to tie into this is, and see, these things are already developed. They're already in the mod community. The developers just have to polish it and refine it and then bake it into the game, so that way when they patch it, they don't break them all. Because I'm finding that I'm always playing with these mods. Like, they're permanent, parts of my game. But the shitty part is every time they do you do a patch once a week, you break all the mods. And then, so if they just incorporated those into the gameplay, that'd stop breaking the game. And then, but the third thing on this topic is there's a couple different names, but the one that I've been messing with is called looter line. And so just having the looters where they're like a one type of tier, and then and then you have your mountain bandits, and then you have your what is it, the sea, I forget their names, the sea bandits, and then there's a fourth one, there's a forest. So instead of having these four factions of bandits, a possible solution is just have the one bandit or the looters all tied up into a giant tree. Right now I'm using the looter line for the looters, which is fantastic. Or maybe I don't know, maybe the solution is to have four separate lines that actually, and as you'll see here as we get out of the game, that's not what I want to do. This is what I want to do. You'll see here they'll have this looter line, and they're not, they're not as good as regular. Let's see if I go here. Yeah, right click. If I go here, and you'll see where they've fleshed this whole thing out. They've fleshed this whole thing out, and you can get it all the way up to nomad deathmongers, and they've given them all names. And you look at the archer, and they've even got him. What is this guy, like level 30, tier 7? Level 36. So if you're able to hang on to this guy long enough, let's go look at the level 26 archer. Let's see where he's at. Trying to see his damage, accuracy, missile speed, bow. Yeah, and you can see the armor's not, the armor's horrible, but two quivers. But this is great. The way you can even get sharpshooters, you can get crossbowmen if you want. Yeah, and this is they don't have this line with the other types, but I would really like to see the looter line incorporated into the game. Like, there and again, you don't even need to create the assets. Just put them in the game. Just incorporate the mod. Is so good. And it gives you a lot more variety. And they're all weak. They're not nearly as good as, if I look at skirmishers here, you can see they, body armor 8. And if I go to the Britannians, can I click on Britannians here? I don't have any Britannians. Go here. I'm gonna get jumped. Yeah. See, can I go back? No, there was an option there to join them, because I'm running that mod that adds kind of a bottom end group play to the game. That is fantastic. But yeah, that's really it. Is the kind of the three functions of the gameplay is to add the ability to join these factions and groups. And like when that mod that I'm using, what's really nice about it is you earn rep with the different clan houses, and they know you. Like when you interact with them, they're like, "Hey Bob, how are you? Great job last night at the castle sieging." And as you progress, their attitude and their behavior, it's like tied in so well, so seamless that it's really good. It's really good. And then you can leave. So let's say you have different nobles that are under McGough, Clan McGough, and then uh, when you leave, you can, let's say one of your heroes dies, and then or one of the clan leaders dies. Well, what happens is you still keep your clan renown, but you lose your individual status with that individual. So some of it carries over and some of it doesn't carry over. And so what that does is that creates a big gameplay loop because you're trying to re-earn your status. And the more status you have, the better loadout, better weapons, and better stuff that you're using. Of course, if you leave, you don't get to take that stuff with you unless you retire. The term they use is retire. You got to get 190 kills, and my last playthrough, I was chasing that for like 2 days, trying to get that 190 kills. Because what would happen is, my clan lord would die, and then I would go to another faction or get captured, and then I would go to another faction. Clan lord, it was in the same faction, so I would keep all my renown, but then I would have to start over on the kill count, and this created this crazy game loop to where I would just really trying to cheese everything I could cheese to get my kill and their sieges to get my kill counts. Like, and I was even reloading saves. Like, I can't leave this siege until I get 25 kills. Like, if I do something stupid and I only get 5 kills, I gotta reload my game save and get 25 kills. And even then, it was almost like it was a real challenge to try to get that 190. I think the best I did was 100, 140 is the best I could do before she ended up dying. So I don't even know if it's obtainable, but it created this loop of where I just had to become a death bringer and just become super efficient at just killing as much stuff as possible, which and then that it leads to rewarding gameplay. So all these baked in mechanics through this mod, it was just fantastic. And then let me see, let me look at this. Look at this. And now these guys are ready to upgrade. Okay, so let me show you this. Let me save this. So the two mods that I've been running, and I don't know if there's an issue, just incorporating mods into the base game. If it's bad Muju, or I don't know, but let's exit to yes. Let's see here. I forget the name of it. We're gonna exit out. Okay, we're gonna hit play right here, mods. So the ones this freelancer, and this freelancer is completely changes the game, and it doesn't change the appearance and or the the vibe or the intent of the game. It just adds so much bottom end gameplay that kind of lets you really play into the faction aspect and kind of pull some of those relationships and characters and really develop those characters and stuff early game, which is a real benefit. I would like to see that system incorporated into the game instead of being an actual mod. And then the other one is that loot line, and this also ties into distinguished service, kind of ties into that same. These three right here create an entirely different back end environment that are um, really really good. And then another thing, this is kind of a little bit as a segue, as I'm looking, is the smithing parts. Everybody agrees that smithing needs to be reworked because you can completely break economies, and that's not in you can't craft any of the armor or the shields. There's it's only one sided in the weapon crafting, and then um then it ends up in the arenas, and because it's the expensive item, but really it's just a junk item because of how it's valued. All that needs to be retooled. Uh, but back to this just gameplay mechanic. Um, Freelancer. I would really like to see that just incorporated in the game. I think that would fix so many problems. Um, and I think the other part of this, I think I started this video with, was the change settlement culture. That's what I started this video with, was change settlement culture. That would fix. I think that would go a long way to fixing the Britannia sturgeon roll that happens in mid and early game, and I think that's a relatively easy fix. I know there's some unit balances that need to be changed, but I think this would go a long way to, because once you start losing your units because you've lost a couple kingdoms. I mean, you could take kingdoms, but then you're using their units, and you lose your synergy and your culture. And if you could add this into the change settlement culture, add this into the options, that would be fantastic. Okay. As always, thanks for watching.